Hi, I'm Johnny Topside. I'm in a band called Second to Safety. Most people call me Sean because that is my name. I'm going to be talking to you about my rig today because that's the thing we're doing on the internet. First off, boring stuff. I use 0.73mm Dunlop picks, nobody cares. And I use Ernie Ball 10s because they're cheaper and I break strings too much. This is my guitar. It's an RG7421PB model. Let's talk about that because it's actually interesting. Alright, so, like I said, Ibanez RG7421. It is pretty neat. 7-string guitar. Bunch of mess of strings because I break them all the time. Had to change them like 3 times during a tracking session. We have our pickups here. I've pulled half of the pole pieces out because I like Telecasters. And this does not sound like a Telecaster. 6 brass bridges because it's more expensive to buy them in sets of 7. I don't care that much. Got Strat Knobs. Both of them are tone knobs because everything is tone. Tone is the most important thing in life, clearly. I have this taped to the center position because it sounds good, and I'm really tired of hitting it while I'm playing on stage. It is too much work. The songs are too complicated, and I have to sing too much to have to worry about pickup selections all the time. Bridge pickup wound closer to the strings. The neck pickup wound all the way down, which basically lets me just switch between my dirty tones and my cleaner tones by just playing lighter. Nice balanced tone. Very interesting stuff. So this is my custom amp that a friend of mine built for me. His name's Dave Parker. He's very talented. It's got an Eminence Red, White, and Blues 120-watt speaker. Very, very loud, and it is powered by a Quilter 101 mini head, which is basically set up to be incredibly loud and incredibly mid-rangey and incredibly clean. It has the power cable from an old fax machine because I am hipster trash. So when you heard the words incredibly loud and incredibly clean, you probably thought pedal platform. You probably thought right. Let's start from the beginning, shall we? I bought this tuner on the internet because playing out of tune sounds bad, but I'm also too lazy to save up money for a polytune. This is a Rat. It is set up to do this, which is be a big, gainy, mushy mess. That's what I like very much. We'll come back to that. This is a boost. It makes things louder, but not too much. This is my Overdrive. It is on all the time. It's more or less my amp tone. It is set perfectly. You'll notice I have my highs rolled off quite a bit. Come back to that. This is my fuzz pedal. It is a Chicago Stompworks Violet Ram's Head clone that I have taped up, named Loveful because I think loveless is a terrible way to live your life. This is a Joyous phaser with a lot of stupid crap on it. This is a TC Shaker Mini. It helps me make things sound like an old VHS tape, which is always useful in practical application. I use this more or less as a looper. The feedback stays on all the time, delay goes almost all the way up, and when I have that on, I can just roll this up and get a big noisy mess in between songs. Good stuff. Cheaper than buying a Ditto, and if I need delay sounds, I can dial them in pretty quick. So that's more or less the gist of that. So now that I've precariously balanced my phone on a series of wooden planks, boxes of guitar picks, and a bar stool, let's go through my gain staging. Here's my clean tone. Boring. Nobody cares. We're going to kick on this pretty much all the time. Big, beefy tube screamer sound. Good stuff. Tasty. Very good. Alright, so when you want that, but you want it to be slightly louder, you literally just hit this. Compresses things a little bit more, helps with sticking out when you're playing your leads, etc., etc. This button is when I want a big, mushy mess, or I want my chords to disappear under my leads, like so. Those chords just mush out, help me sit under the other guitar when we're doing a lot of trading off stuff. When you want your guitar to sound like a train running into a school bus, you do this. And that's always, I guess that's an awful sound. Alright, when you want it to sound like space, you hit the phaser, because that's what it's good at. And then again, like I said, that VHS tape sound is really useful a lot of the time, actually. You just roll off your tone knob, turn on that light vibrato. My brother's been watching Twin Peaks, I just assume that's what that sounds like. Alright, and finally, I'll demonstrate this guy here. You just leave that delay on all the time. Kick in a bunch of nasty noises. Which is productive. Alright, now we basically just roll this guy up in between songs. Very, very useful, very musical application. Alright, so as you probably gathered, I run a pretty simple setup. I don't like to have to push a lot of buttons because buttons are complicated and the things that have buttons on them are expensive. General tone philosophy, mid-range is literally the only thing that matters. I play a lot of punk shows, nothing's going through the PA except your vocals, so you gotta be loud and you gotta come through that massive drum kit that's just slamming everybody in the eardrums. I spend a lot of time making sure I don't have too much bass in my tone and spend a lot of time making sure there's not too much treble in my tone. If you have too much treble, then basically you're just contributing to that ear-piercing high. It's so prominent in the mix because of the cymbals, and I always encourage people to wear earplugs at our shows. I always wear earplugs at our shows. I wear Heroes, and I want to make sure that the tones that we're using in the band come through whether or not you're using earplugs. And if you're not using earplugs, that they damage your hearing as little as possible. Tinnitus is very irritating, so I try and help people prevent it. That's more or less it. If you have any questions, keep them to yourself. It is none of your business. Thank you for watching.